Johnny Halliday was already too old to be making Vengeance, and he won't be making Vengeance 2 'cause he's dead.
Use extreme caution.
Hi, welcome to the Silver Spleen. My name is Lou Deprick, and this is my review of The Foreigner. The Foreigner just opened in Hong Kong, and it seems like it's the last place in the world it was going to play. But considering how people feel about Jackie Chan around here, I guess I can understand. Besides, The Foreigner is Jackie's newest movie since Kung Fu Yoga. But I watched it anyway. It tells the story of a man looking for the people who killed his daughter in a terrorist bombing. I think the story is actually one of the least important things about this movie. It's a basic revenge drama with political overtones based on a book that was written in 1992. The title of the book is a pejorative term for Chinese people, and that's why the movie is called The Foreigner and not which is funny for two reasons. One, it's not as though the actual term doesn't show up an awful lot in the movie's dialogue. And two, it's no secret that the movie's Chinese audience assumed that the foreigner was Pierce Brosnan, because he's a foreigner. But so is almost everyone else involved in this movie's production. The Foreigner was directed by Martin Campbell, who made a couple of James Bond movies, and the screenplay was written by David Marconi. The writer, the director, and actually most of the crew aren't Chinese. One thing that means is that the evil white people in the movie are a lot more watchable. Very few of the angry commenters I get whenever this topic comes up seem to understand that I'm not taking exception to the idea that Westerners are evil in movies or real life. I know they are. What annoys me is the way that the evil white people are usually portrayed, literally yelling all their dialogue and behaving like cartoonish parodies, although I'm not necessarily going to say which movies have done that as recently as this year. I think Darren Shalabi's health suffered as a direct result of having to do all his dialogue in Ip Man 2 like this.
Will somebody get this yellow piece of fat out of here?
Frank Grillo playing the bad guy in Wolf Warrior 2 actually made me enjoy the movie more, and it even made the awful things he was saying better because he was good at saying them. Is it really so much to ask to have bad guys that are entertaining? Apparently so. And, you know, I'm sure that even this whole thing I just said isn't going to stop commenters from howling about how I'm just trying to excuse the evils of history or whatever. But speaking of excusing history, Jackie Chan's character in this movie was born in China in 1956, since he's 61 in the movie. For reasons unstated, he went to what was then South Vietnam, which is probably why his name is Quang Ngoc Minh. In South Vietnam, he was trained by the United States government to fight against the Viet Cong, including during the Tet Offensive of 1968, when he would have been 12. Maybe it was Tet 72 when he was 16. Either way, it does set up this really nifty Rambo-mage. Sick. Kwok escaped to Hong Kong in 1984. He moved to London, where he opened a Chinese restaurant. I don't know either. But I think I do know that it's a lot easier to get a movie into China if your Chinese star is playing someone from a different country, even if he was a child soldier, so that when he begins to take the law into his own hands, it's not problematic. But so what? I have to say that I found this movie a lot less clumsy and offensive than I expected to. I honestly think that it's because of the way that it's written and directed, maybe even because of the source material. Yes, white people in The Foreigner are evil, but they're never made to seem evil because they're white. They're just evil. And yes, more than one person in the movie calls Kwok an ethnic slur, which, to be honest, I'm sure people do in real life. It's unpleasant, but it's not unrealistic. But what do I know? I'm a foreigner. I do know that it was a little uncomfortable watching Jackie Chan try to play a caring father to a daughter. Art doesn't always reflect life. But let's not dwell on that. One of my biggest problems with this movie is the age of the main character, and not because he was a child soldier in the Vietnam War. Liam Neeson recently said that he's not going to make any more Taken movies because he's too old. Well, Jackie Chan didn't get the memo. It's kind of hard to watch, you know, when there's the sort of the requisite training montage where he's literally bench pressing an entire van up an incline. It just wasn't convincing. Just as non-convincing were the frankly irrelevant fight scenes. They're the weakest part of the movie because I couldn't believe them, and they didn't really contribute anything except to make sure that Jackie Chan always has action scenes in his movies. But he's in his 60s, and it shows. If he did some kind of Tai Chi thing where he was redirecting the energy of people that were attacking him, I could almost maybe have bought it, but not this. Besides, it seems like an awful lot of these action scenes are shot from behind Jackie Chan's character, so you can't see his face. Speaking of unbelievable, why did a mild-mannered restaurateur have a set of, like those magnetic signs you can put on a van, except that the signs were for something completely different from the restaurant so that he could conceal the van from surveillance? Like, why did he have those if he was just a mild-mannered restaurant guy? And the thing is that he had them way too soon for when he'd made the decision to try and do something. He kind of made the decision and then walked in the garage and put them up. Like, why do you have those, Kwok? Why? Why was the kind of the age makeup on that one actress just so obvious and bad? And why did she just anomalously turn out to be a love interest? And why was that one exterior shot of like Jackie Chan standing in front of this magnificent vista so breathtaking? I mean, why was it so breathtakingly obvious that it was done with a green screen? Why did the story seem to end up being two completely unrelated things? It just kind of left me wondering how they were related to each other in any way except that they were in the same movie. It just didn't make sense. So after saying all of those things, it's probably going to be a surprise to you if I say that I actually enjoyed this movie in a lot of ways. None of the things that I see as faults in this movie are unique or new. Like, the idea that somebody somehow already had things that they would need to carry out a plan that they just decided on. I've seen that before a lot. So I'll happily say that this movie is solidly generic because it's a double-edged sword that cuts both ways. Like Wolf Warrior 2, The Foreigner follows the action movie template pretty slavishly, offering no new twists or surprises. But that formula has worked for decades and it will continue to do so. And like Wolf Warrior 2, The Foreigner does kind of make you rethink who the bad guys are and who the good guys are and what each one of them looks like. And I appreciated that, I really did. The Foreigner is a competent, well-made, and interesting movie that could have been an awful lot worse than it was. And like I said, was surprisingly better and more interesting than I expected. It's not a great movie, but it is exponentially better than Kung Fu Yoga. And for me, that's more than enough. I'm as surprised as you are that I enjoyed this movie. And certainly it's not perfect, but neither am I. But it's kind of worth watching, and I feel funny saying that, especially because I watched Kung Fu Yoga in the cinema and paid money. But The Foreigner is interesting, and I would encourage people to watch it. If you have a chance, go ahead and watch it in the cinema because, it was filmed in a way that really benefits from a large screen. And it'll be nice to play it nice and loud and maybe get the vibrating seats. It's up to you. But if you don't see it in the cinema, wait till you can rent or buy a copy. Don't steal it. When it gets released to home video, I'll update the description with a link where you can buy it, which is definitely not something I'm going to do for Kung Fu Yoga, but why beat a dead horse? But as long as we are beating dead horses, please click on my Patreon page because, quite honestly, I could use the money. And I know that sounds terrible. Everybody thinks that somehow I'm independently wealthy. I'm not. I'm just independently poor. So if you have a chance, please do that. Make me watch a Barbara Wong movie 5 times in a row. It'd be good for me. I don't know how exactly, but I guess we could think it does. If you enjoyed my review, please let me know. And if you don't, let me know. Please don't think that I'm trying to excuse colonialism, because I'm not. If you enjoy the channel, please subscribe, because that way I get more subscribers. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again soon.